Well, hello, everyone, and welcome here to Bedford. Ncaa, Coach Chris Cameron with you. It's the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks, and boy, oh boy, we've got a jammed-packed hour and a half for you coming up. 6 guests. We'll start things off with Ruppy Haley of Oyster River, head coach there of the Bobcats, competing well in Division II. Ken Blaska's got Timberlane playing well. He'll join us at the bottom of the hour. We switch gears for a moment at 9:45 with Jim Maxwell, the Hollis Brookline girls head coach, Cavaliers, looking like one of the teams to beat in D2. Top of hour number 2, Ben Abladian, the NEC Rookie of the Year, is our New Hampshire Tomahawks Player of the Week. The Bryant freshman will jump on at 10 o'clock. And then a member of the Bryant coaching staff, Casey Broderson, one of the assistants, former Pinkerton player. He'll join us at 10:15. We close out the show with last week's co-host, Eric Coburn, a Merrimack national champion and graduate back in 2018. He'll join us for some NCAA tournament talk. That D1 selection show, by the way, is 9 o'clock tonight. Coach, is that enough for you? Should we schedule one more, or what do you think?
We might be going till noon.
Let's start, as we always do, with NHIAA Talk. The big meeting was back on Monday. Broadcast we had for you here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire. Undefeated Bishop Girton at undefeated Exeter. We had talked a lot on this show about that particular matchup. And, well, it went your guys' way. We'll say that. Second quarter, a 10-1 advantage for the Cardinals as they opened up a 12-5 lead at halftime back on Monday. Third quarter, you just increased that gap, Coach, and your team goes on to win 21-8. The final second time around was Friday, as we expected, a little tighter given the second time, given the back-to-back, the home-and-home, etc. 12-6, your team still played well enough to get the victory there and remain undefeated. But let's go back to Monday for a second, Coach. Your team looked very explosive the whole game long, but that second quarter in particular. Did that catch you off guard, or did you know your guys had that capability?
Give Exeter credit. They came out, and they were ready to play.
Exeter held a 4-2 lead after the first.
We were 2-0 right away, and we've been rolling teams, so I just think we thought it was going to happen, but Exeter grinded out. They were up 4-2, and they played better. They deserved to be up 4-2 after that first quarter. And it was our first time our guys faced any kind of adversity, and they answered. And when you are winning faceoffs, making saves, and it was a track meet, and that's the way we'd like to get up and down.
Sure.
And we were getting a lot of goals in transition off of faceoffs, and we were clicking. And having Dawson Clark back made a big difference.
Is he 100%? He had a hamstring injury?
He's not 100%. No, he's close. And then we held him. He wasn't feeling great yesterday against Concord, so we held him out. But he had 4 and 3 against Exeter. He just makes the offense click. He makes everyone around him better. And we're as good as advertised on defense. There's no doubt about it. After that first quarter, we played pretty well. We held them to 2 goals over like a 30-minute stretch. So Exeter's good. I mean, they're young in the goal. He's going to be a really good goalie. He was a freshman. So seeing those kind of shots from us was tough. But he bounced back and played very well.
Big freshman too.
Yeah. Relocated from Long Island. But they're athletic on defense. They don't have the depth that we have. When we throw, Aiden Ahern, he was able to hold Connor Holly to 0-0. But then Drunzik had scored 2 against us, and then Craney, one of them was and then we challenged Craney, and then on the Friday he held Drunzik to 0-0. So it's kind of winning your matchup. Those are the 3 guys that they have, are Spencer Clark, Aiden Drunzik, and Connor Holly, and they match up with our 3 poles. So we try to win. If we could win those 3 matchups and win faceoffs, we feel like we can win that battle.
Were there any adjustments the Blue Hawks made the second time around that made it a more competitive game?
Yeah, so I look back, said to myself, all right, if I'm Coach Holly, who's a terrific coach, top coaches around in New England, I said, what is he going to do? And he's going to slow it down. That's really what he's going to try to do. And that's what they did, and it was 3-2 BG after one, and then 5-4 at halftime. So when you're in the game, you can slow it down. What happened on Monday was when you're down 7-8 goals at halftime,
you don't have the luxury.
You can't slow it down. So
Right.
they had to continue to play fast. But this game, through three quarters, it was 8-4 after three, so it was effective. But at some point, you got to start pressing it and playing, and then the lead blew up. But that was the big adjustment, is they slowed it down. And they believed in themselves. They didn't, sometimes you beat a team 21-8, they're going to be like, oh, we got to play this team again. But they didn't have that mentality. They had just a really energetic group that came to win, came to Stellas to win. And that was really there are adjustments made, but the biggest thing is the mental side of those 2-game sets. I mean, they're tough. They're tough to get. You beat a team by 13, and you try to tell these guys, look, this is going to be a different game 3 days later, and they don't
sometimes
always believe
whatever,
it.
coach, right?
Exactly. They don't always believe it.
Right. Well, they got it done. Your guys still undefeated, now solely in first place as the lone unbeaten team in Division I. But again, just to give props to Exeter, they had to turn around and play against Saturday. Against
at
Londonderry.
At 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m.
On the road. A double
against
road
Londonderry
game.
Following a Friday night affair with you guys, and they go out and perform well. In fact, they beat Londonderry they did. In fact, more than double up the Lancers. 15-7 the final. Keep in mind, Londonderry had won 5 of 6 coming into that matchup. So Exeter able to, in very, very short order, turn it around and go out Saturday and get that victory.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so they don't play a lot of guys, Exeter. So they played us on the road on Friday. Then they had a 10 a.m. game. So that's probably
that was at Londonderry.
That was at Londonderry. So, that's a nice little bounce back for them. They're just more talented than Londonderry. But Londonderry, Londonderry battled. Londonderry, I think, is a clear, like the 4th best team.
You've been saying that all season. It seems like it's shaking out that way. We'd be going on the wrong track. We didn't mention Pinkerton here. Astros, outside of the 2 losses to Bishop Girton, still undefeated. A cross-divisional matchup yesterday with Ncaa. We'll talk a little bit more about D2 and where the Warriors are in that landscape in a couple minutes. But Ncaa looking to challenge themselves. They head into Derry and didn't go their way. The Astros big win 16-3. Pinkerton now quietly, coach, has won 4 in a row since they fell to you back on April the 22nd. Is this a case where Coach Gaudreau has got them getting better as the season goes on?
To be honest, it's tough to say because he's played Merrimack, North, and Ncaa. Right. So I'm just knowing him and that I'm sure they're getting better. But you're not going to really see – well, they have –
I mean, they're blowing them out. 16-1, 18-2, 19-2, 16-3 in that order.
I mean, there's big gaps in talent across the state. You could see the difference from D1 to D2. The top D1 teams against the top D2 teams, it's a big, 16-3 versus Ncaa. I think Ncaa is in that mix with Portsmouth and Derryfield and Hollis as those top D2 teams. But you're going to find
they're not ready for Pinkerton yet.
They're not ready yet. But I give them credit. That's going to make them better. That's going to make them better come tournament
Coach
time.
Snow challenging his guys, right?
I think he's playing Exeter too. So to answer your question on Pinkerton, I think you're going to find out how much better they got when they play South this week.
Okay.
So South coming off a 10-day COVID pause.
They were supposed to play Exeter this week. That was postponed.
So now South, I think, is going to have one practice today.
Well, they're supposed to play Londonderry, this week.
So Pinkerton and South is this week. And then the Exeter, what's the date on the Exeter Pinkerton game? That's got to be coming quickly.
That is the 18th and the 20th.
Okay, so not this week, but the week after. So then that's when you're going to find out how much better.
Yeah, we've had that circled for sure.
So you have teams like that'll be a great matchup from the standpoint. You got some star power on the field. Exeter's more athletic. Pinkerton's got some skilled guys, so that should be a good matchup. Then we'll find out how much Pinkerton has improved.
Right. All right. What about Bedford? You're going to see them this week. Bulldogs, we saw them on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire's game of the week last Saturday. They fell to Londonderry 10-6. They come back with a home with Merrimack this week. No trouble there. And, again, getting ready now for you guys on Tuesday. That game, by the way, the Tuesday game, will be covered here on Friday Night Lights, New Hampshire, part of a women's or boys doubleheader beginning at 3 with the girls. By the way, that's a huge matchup.
Oh, how exciting is that?
We'll get into that as well a little bit later in the program. Bedford and BG both unbeaten And really, I think two of the favorites perhaps to meet in the championship. But again, sticking with the boys here for this segment, what do you make of Bedford? I know, that maybe they haven't been as top to bottom talented, top to bottom deep as some of those great Bulldog teams we've seen in the past. But here they are, Coach, just racking up wins, quietly going out about their business. You're going to see them on tape, I assume, the next couple of days before that Tuesday matchup. What do you think of the Bulldogs right now here on May the 9th?
I think Coach Joe Hansmeyer is doing a great job. Coach of the Year type performance right now. He doesn't have – he's got Will Kramer, Max Maniello, Magnus Steele at the midfield, Connor Augusto, Evan Schmidt on attack. He's got, guys. He's got good guys, but he just doesn't have the depth underneath them. There's a player, hockey kid Roberto, that's facing off with him. Never's really faced off before, so he's doing what he can with what he has. I think we just have too much athleticism, too much depth for them. So we're just going to try to wear them down. That's going to be our game plan. A lot of pressure, wear them down. But they gave Londonderry a very good game, and the Bedford, Londonderry, South, those three teams that are 4, 5, 6 are all great matchups. Within
kind of that middle tier as they volley.
It's good lacrosse, and Bedford is they're
8-2, so
it's
they're doing.
He's done a great job
doing what they need to do. Merrimack, by the way, 3-6, but Coach, we seem to touch at some point on them week in and week out. That's another team seemingly challenging themselves. Seemingly getting better. They took Derryfield, I think, to a 1-goal difference.
11-10, they lost to Derryfield.
What do you make of Merrimack?
Well, they're
a growing program.
A growing program. Brian Miller, who he does a great job. Former D1 player, knows the game, has a passion for the game. He's really trying to grind it out the youth program to get these kids, to him just to increase the numbers. He doesn't have a lot of highly skilled players, but he's developing them. So, they're in that mix. They're their scores are interesting. If you pull up their scores, they pounded North early on in the year. It was 15-1 or something.
I see 9-7. Oh no, the opener 15-1.
15-1.
Yep.
And then they come back and North gives them a game 9-7.
Yep.
So. Which is a little bit surprising that North would close the gap that much, and wasn't it wasn't a 2-game set week. It was a gap.
About 3 weeks in between.
So I was expecting them coming off that 11-10 Derryfield game. I'm like, whoa, watch Merrimack. So I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them at all. So I don't really
quite know yet. Are you guys playing them?
We do not play them.
No.
So
okay.
They're not on our schedule, so
all right.
I don't know them that well.
That's a look at D1 on the boys' side. When we come back, we'll dive more in depth in D2. A lot of parity in that division. Ruppy Haley, head coach of Oyster River, is going to join us to do just that. You are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Back here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, it's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. We're live from the Beals Insurance Studios. Ncaa, head coach Chris Cameron with BG and founder of the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Coming up, Ken Blaska of Timberlane. Got the Owls playing well. He'll join us in about 15 minutes or so. Hollis Brookline girls head coach Jim Maxwell will be on the program at 9:45. Our Tomahawks player of the week, Ben Abladian of Bryant, freshman of the year in the NEC. He joins us at 10 o'clock. His coach, or one of them, Bryant assistant Casey Broderson, follows at 10:15. And then our new friend Eric Coburn will join us in studio to break down the upcoming NCAA tournament. But right now, Oyster River headman Ruppy Haley joins us on the phone. Coach Haley, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. Things are good here. Thanks for having me this morning.
Thanks for coming on. We spoke with you briefly off air just a moment ago, and you described your program as a growing program, an up-and-coming program. Seems like you got pretty good numbers in terms of the amount of players on the roster. Is that something that's starting to catch on out there in Durham High School lacrosse at Oyster River, and Newmarket for that matter?
Yeah, so with the Newmarket co-op, we actually didn't end up with any kids this year from there. That's something that we're going to try to develop, as the years go on. As far as numbers for us, this year is the highest I've had there. I think we're up on 28 now, which is nice because we're able to develop some of the JV guys, whereas before, we didn't have any JV games. So a lot of the kids, unless it was a blowout one way or another, they'd have to spend a lot of time on the bench. So, the quality of players we're getting is better. Obviously, the numbers, and we try to reach out, in the communities and make sure that we're getting as many kids as we can and try to feed that high school program that way.
Tell me a little bit more about the roster, Coach, and the youth program, I guess, as well, out in Durham. Are these student athletes lacrosse players, so to speak, or are they just athletes that have recently discovered the game that you're still trying to mold and teach some of the basics? What is the experience level, I guess, of the roster look like?
Yeah, that's a great question, and really fits well at Oyster River because at Oyster River soccer is king. They just won the D2 state championship this year in the boys' side, and their numbers are tremendous. So we try to get as many athletes as we can from there. Fortunately, especially the last couple of years here, we've had a couple of guys who certainly view lacrosse as their primary sport. So. These are the cornerstone guys that we try to build around.
I would assume, Coach, some of those guys, Hayden Marshall, who is, I believe, going on to St. A's, the senior. You got another senior in Ethan Todd, who I believe just confirmed to Riviere. I mean, these are NCAA prospects here on your team. Those two guys, Marshall and Todd, are they the unofficial leaders of this squad?
They are, and it's funny you mentioned the word leaders. Ethan Todd is actually, he's been a captain of my team since he's been a sophomore. And he's just, he's got some experience with ROTC at school, and he's just a true leader. Hayden Marshall leads by example on the field. He's not the loudest guy out there, but certainly our most talented guy. And that was one of the things I recognized when I first took the job, and I went to see these guys playing indoor, and those two guys stood out. So, they've been guys that we've been building around. We've got, obviously our goalie, Finn Mason. I don't want to go on without mentioning him. He's a sophomore. He's having a tremendous season.
Right.
And, he's really made the adjustment. Obviously all these sophomores are basically freshmen. They were losing their season last year. So, it's nice to see him develop the way he has been. Sam Gilmette, another sophomore midfielder for us. So he's doing a little bit of everything. I don't know, this kid just has an endless batteries, out there in the field. He's taking face-offs. He's playing offense. He's playing defense. He's, he must sleep well at night because he certainly gives everything he can on the field.
Yeah, we did the broadcast, of course, back on Thursday. It seemed like Gilmette had the ball in his stick a lot. And then just to pile on your point on Ethan Todd, it seemed like he was the guy getting everybody geared up, fired up, giving that fiery pregame speech. before the game on Thursday. I did notice number 21 in white was Ethan Todd, and that was the guy in the middle of the pile, so to speak. You mentioned ROTC with Todd. Is he the vocal guy you mentioned now in a captain role for 3 years?
He is. So he's the great thing about Ethan is not only is he the vocal guy, and he's always the one that's involved in any out of season training and trying to raise our numbers there. And I mean, he's just involved. The kid just has a passion for lacrosse like you wouldn't believe. And so not only does he lead, but what you see, Nick, at the game within the huddle, but also everything he does behind the scenes is just we're really going to miss him when he graduates this year.
So, Rupp, talk a little bit about, with your track record of how hard you worked at all levels to build up that Salem program with the youth program where you guys were knocking on that door to be a top 8 team, I see Oyster River heading in that direction. But on a personal level, it must have been really exciting this year having 2 boys playing at the college level, with Drew being a junior at Merrimack and then Adam being he was part of the 2020, Adam being a freshman at Riviere this year. How many games did you get to see, and how was the overall experience for you?
So it was pretty good. We obviously attended Drew's first couple of years at Merrimack. We went to see as much as we could there, and now that Adam's made the move up to the college level, we've been trying to go 50-50. It was kind of made easy for us. I've been on staff at Riviere, so I've been able to attend the games in person. And for Drew, most of his games we couldn't attend, so we watched those online. So there was a nice balance there. Just being a proud dad over the years, it's been a lot of fun just to follow them. Whether it was at Salem, and then when Drew made the switch over to BG to play for you, and obviously all their time with the Tomahawks and the successful teams that they played on there, we've just been very fortunate and really enjoyed the ride.
Yeah, no, it's been great having you and the boys and Tara in the program. So how do you see have you seen a bracket or any kind of format for the D2 playoffs?
So you hear a few different rumors. I haven't been able to get anything in concrete yet. It's obviously going to be interesting. We feel like we're doing some good stuff, and our compete level's up from what it has been. And but at the same time, we still feel like for our team, that we have a lot of things that we can improve, individually and as a team. So we kind of focus on us, at practice and stuff. So we feel that we can play with anybody, and we feel that we can be very competitive with most.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like the basketball D1 version of the Seacoast, where you had Winnacunnet, Portsmouth, and Exeter.
Right.
In D2, if they put all those 3 teams together, Oyster River, Winnacunnet, and Portsmouth, only one team's going to make it out of that pod. That's a loaded pod if they do.
And the NCAA really hasn't given any indication one way or the other of where they're going with this open tournament, how that exactly is going to work.
I'm hearing it's going to be regional pods that you got to play your way out of in order to advance.
Right, and you'll kind of take that as you get it, right, Coach? It doesn't really make a difference for you as a head coach, or am I wrong?
Yeah, no, we know we're in a pretty competitive area. You mentioned Winnacunnet and Portsmouth. We don't see Winnacunnet during the regular season this year, but we know how strong they are. Obviously, we had 2 against Portsmouth, and again, I felt that we were competitive, but they're just a notch above, and that's something we're just working to close the gap between ourselves and the better teams.
Yeah, Coach, you got Dover, right? Home and home this week coming up. Besides getting a victory, what would you like to see your team accomplish this week against the Green Wave?
Yeah, so there's 2 things that we're focusing on right now that we feel that's kind of holding us back a little bit. We've, again, in all the stuff that we've done, we feel that we've done well. We still feel like we still have too many, unforced turnovers, and we're really focusing on first chance ground balls now. Since when we get possession, normally, with the exception, of course, being the other day, we didn't have our best output offensively, but when we get possession of the ball that we can make something happen. I just think we constantly preach play fast but play patient, and I think for the most part it's been something that's been working for us.
Well, Coach, congratulations on a pretty successful first half of the campaign, and we appreciate, of course, you joining us here on the show. Thank you for your time.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rupp.
That, again, is Ruppy Haley of Oyster River Bobcats. starting to make a little bit of noise. Again, the D2 landscape, Coach, very, very crowded. You still have a handful of unbeatens at the top, even though Derryfield was knocked off for the first time last season.
Look at the amount of teams. I don't know. It looks like it's 20. It looks like it's 20-plus teams. And
right, and again, the NHLAA website not quite updated yet, but Derryfield and Winnicott both suffered their first losses yesterday. Portsmouth still unbeaten at 9-0. Kingswood, surprisingly,
they're playing up there.
They're playing, and they're unbeaten, at least through 8 games. Then you got the Cavaliers. They've dealt with some scheduling issues due to the COVID-19 situation. But, they're unbeaten through 5 games. Then you got 1-loss teams in Conval, Pembroke. Then you get to Goffstown and Hanover, traditionally tough teams. Wyndham's in that mix, along with Timberlane. Where do you even start here? There's over 20 teams, Coach, and again, if you do have this open tournament, which they've been discussing, it's going to be quite the thing to cover.
Will you get the top 8 teams in the quarterfinals? Probably not. Hopefully you get the top 4, or maybe you get 3 out of 4 or 6 out of 8. It was interesting. Newmarket, he got no players out of that.
I didn't know that.
So I didn't know that either. Now, when you see Oyster River in other sports, is it Oyster River Newmarket in other sports?
No.
So just for lacrosse?
I believe so.
So they still have that tag up there, and they got no players from them. So that's
that's too bad.
Yeah, so he's up to 28 players, and he put in so much effort. He would come to Sundays at the indoor league for hours with the Salem guys. So he's going to put the time in. He's going to grind it out, and he's going to build that program. Yeah, and it takes a lot of work. One thing, he's on staff at Riv. I didn't know what he was doing exactly at Riv, but that's interesting. I didn't have time to expound upon it.
Can't get enough lacrosse. I
No.
guess. Yeah, he's got that program on the rise for sure. Our next guest, you can say that as well, Ken Blaska of Timberlane. The Owls are in that mix. They look good in a win when we saw them back on Thursday. They knocked off Coach Haley's Bobcats 9-2. We will talk about that. A 2-0 week for Timberlane. Coach Blaska's got a pretty good goaltender over there as well. We'll ask him about that. All that coming up in just a moment. You're watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. It's the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. We thank Ruppy Haley of Oyster River for jumping on. Jim Maxwell coming up next in about 15 minutes or so. The Hollis Brookline Cavaliers doing well in Division II. Top of hour 2, Ben Abladian is our New Hampshire Tomahawks Player of the Week. He's at Bryant. He's a freshman. He's also the Rookie of the Year in the NEC Conference. Bryant assistant coach Casey Broderson comes on at 10:15, and then we pipe in Eric Coburn, Merrimack grad, former national champion, to help us break down the upcoming NCAA tournament. But right now, Timberlane's Ken Blaska joins us live here on the telephone. Coach, good morning. Coach, you there?
This is Jim Maxwell.
Jim.
We have Jim Maxwell on the phone, not Ken Blaska. All right, well, let's bring on Jim Maxwell, Cavalier head coach. Sorry, Coach, I had it written on my sheet here, 9:45, but I guess we got a little confused there, but that's okay.
Oh, we're good.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the start your team has gotten off to, certainly considered one of the contenders in Division II. Is that how you look at this thing here in 2021, or are you just trying to get better game by game?
Yeah, it's more about getting better game by game and getting ready for the playoffs. I mean, this year where it's going to be very different, I don't believe seeding is going to really matter, and you just got to. It's basically the whole season this year is like a preseason. It's just about getting ready for the playoffs. Then it's all about what you do in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, and as you say, this kind of step-by-step approach, is there more focus on just getting your girls better, getting your team to improve, or is there still as much going into scouting the opposition as maybe there was pre-COVID?
No, it's a lot harder for us to scout the opposition because we're not, the schedule is very different this year than it has been in the past, and we just had our first Division II game yesterday, and we're halfway through the season, so it's a little bit more challenging. We don't the coaches and the people that you have relationships with that usually have film on certain teams that you might be able to take a look at. That's non-existent this year, so we're walking into everything blind. And it's just going back to historically what we remember from some teams, from 2 years ago, and that's about all we have for a scouting perspective.
Right. That's got to be more challenging, right, Coach, in terms of trying to get your team ready?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be this year is definitely a much more challenging year from a coaching perspective. You get into a groove. This is my 4th year as a head coach, and you have something going, and you want to stick with what you used to do, and you just got to adjust based on the changes and the dynamics of what's happening this season.
Yeah. Yeah, and how, Coach, in that 4 years, have you gotten better personally as a coach and as the head of that program?
Yeah, starting off, I would say I was still, like anyone starting off, I was raw, and just got to be out there and find every opportunity to be out there coaching. And that's, one of the things that I believe has helped me out a ton is coaching for the Tomahawks and the girls at Tomahawks, and learning from and hearing from the other coaches that coach in that program, and taking little bits and pieces. And the more you're out there, the more you can build yourselves up, and then you kind of bring some of that stuff back to your own team. And I think just learning from others has been fantastic and really taken my coaching style to a different perspective than I had 4 years ago.
Well, this sounds like a good time to bring in Coach Cameron here, founder of the New Hampshire Tomahawks, right?
You've done a great job for us with the Tomahawks, and certainly with this Hollis Brookline program. You have been knocking on the door each year, challenging for that championship. So this year, you have Sohegan coming up next week. How did that game come about? Was that something you reached out? Was this at the AD level? Because that's a great test to get for your program and get you ready for June.
Yeah, no, our calendar this year has nothing to do with what we wanted. This is just kind of the schedule we were handed, and we play a lot of D3 teams. We play a bunch of we play Sohegan a couple of times this week as a D1 team. It just shows up on our schedule, and we're playing who they told us to play.
That's good. So tell us a little about Coach. We just had Ruppy Haley on, who's coached his boys through the years, and you're coaching Ella, who's a commit for Southern Connecticut State University. What's it like coaching your daughter after coaching, so many years without her on the team?
Right.
Yeah, it has its moments, as you can imagine. I mean, this is my last season coaching, and it's great that I'm going out with a great group of kids, including having the ability to coach my own daughter as I'm walking out the door, which is great.
And what Coach, if you don't mind me asking, what went into that decision that 21 would be the final season?
Yeah, good question. I mean, 22 was always my target, which is when my daughter Ellie would have graduated. But we had the opportunity to move, and we're moving down to Massachusetts, and so we're just not going to be around here anymore. So it kind of expedited. We're doing it a year earlier, unfortunately.
Yeah, Well, we're sorry to lose you.
Absolutely.
Anyone moving from New Hampshire to Mass, we
You have to question their intelligence.
right,
I know.
or lower the flag to half staff. You guys obviously facing really, I think, your first big test of the season this week, right, Coach, with Souhegan?
Yesterday was our first one. We had Wyndham yesterday, and I know those results have not probably been populated yet. But,
Wait, what was the score of that game?
yeah, it was 12-8 in their favor. So it was good. I mean, it was a great game. Unfortunately for us, we've had a lot of challenges the last couple of weeks. We were not allowed to work with any of our kids over the vacation break, so we had a whole week off. And then during that week, there was a little bit of a couple of kids got COVID. So it kind of and then you put a bunch of other kids in quarantine because they were in contact with each other. So basically, all last week we didn't have anything. So we basically have gone almost 2 weeks without having a full team together, and we still don't have the full team together. We still have kids that are out. So,
yeah. Coach, how do you mitigate that situation where you're not allowed to work with your team for an entire week? Are there ways that you can stay in contact and make sure that they're continuing to prepare?
yeah, I mean, you can have contact, and they don't take that away from you, thankfully. And obviously not physical contact. We just can be on texting, just asking the kids to stay in shape. That's the big part is, they can't come back after, a week of vacation where they couldn't do anything. And then another week of COVID time and come back on the field and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be ready. No, you just don't get it. So it's all about just staying in shape. That's getting out there, doing some, even if it's light running, you got to do something.
Yeah. It's been, from what I understand, that kind of a challenge has been really kind of a common theme, right, Coach?
That's all you can do is trust your team. If you can't have contact, you got to have the stick in your hand. You got to run. You got to do that.
Yep.
When you come back, you want to start at a higher level, but you know that not your whole team is going to do that. So then you run the risk of injury. But that was Hollis Brookline Wyndham was I didn't know that game because I didn't see it on the NHI schedule.
It's not on the schedule.
That would have been that could be a preview of the championship. I mean, those are two great teams.
Coach, one other COVID-19 related question. Again, given the challenges your staff has had to face with the quarantine situation, that kind of thing, it seems like, based on the coaches we've heard from on this show, that they've had to rely on a group of seniors, a group of student-athlete leaders to kind of serve as liaisons and kind of police the off-the-field activities and the training regiments, that kind of thing. Do you have a group of players that you've leaned on this year, maybe more so in the past, because of the ongoing COVID-19 situation?
No, absolutely. And I agree with the other coaches as well. Yeah, I have 3 captains, Abby Magnashevsky, Brooke Allenak, and Abby Ogren. And those 3 girls have definitely stepped up this year to kind of keep things going and keeping an eye on people and trying to make this thing move forward. Because I just, from a COVID perspective, this year is just, obviously for everyone, it's probably challenging. But, for us, it's, we have reduced amount of time that we can be on the field with the kids. Normally we would have 2-hour practices. Now we're down this year to a short, an hour and a half. And that's after you check the kids in and take temperatures and do all the other stuff. So it's this COVID thing, the COVID year, I'm just thankful that the kids are able to play. So I'll do whatever it takes. But, because I don't want to repeat of 2020. But it is super challenging this year. And it's just, hopefully, this is the last season that we have to deal with this in high school sports.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Sorry for that rough intro, but we got through it. Good luck this week against Souhegan as well. I know that's a big matchup for you guys, and we appreciate the time here this morning.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
That's, again, Jim Maxwell in his final season as coach of the Hollis Brookline Cavaliers.
Announced here on the program.
That's right. Exclusive. They obviously gave Wyndham all they could handle yesterday. I think he said 12-8 was the final, and then obviously a real test coming up with the Souhegan Sabres, perennially one of the best teams in Division I.
Yeah, Jim's a great coach. He's puts a lot of time in the off season, and he knows how to coach the game. He knows how to coach individual work and teamwork. But every time I come in, I say, okay, I don't want to talk about COVID. I think we're sick of COVID, but it just keeps rearing its ugly head. You just can't. I mean, we're not. I mean, it's just there. So that challenge that he had to face, that he's away from his, he couldn't practice during vacation week. Who knows? That's probably a school board related.
Well,
decision.
the thing is, because it hits every team, every program a little bit differently.
Some schools handle it better than others.
Sure, and there's different situations on the ground. So it's good, I think, for us on this show to kind of dive into the effects that this situation has had on the sport.
And I think, like, he summed it up perfectly. And it's my take, too, is, look, I tell my players, I don't want to have to tell you to put on masks, but I have to. It's my job. I want you to have a great season. This season is for you guys. So I'm going to do whatever it takes. And that's basically what he says. Look, he's going to do whatever he takes for the kids to have a season. And that's kind of my approach, the same thing. It's just, there's a lot of different protocols, things you have to worry about, you got to do. But that's I got thrown off there. So that's his take. That's my take. But for him to lose to Wyndham 12-8, that's a pretty good job.
Yeah.
For not being on vacation week, then having COVID issues. So those are two teams that I think we got to keep an eye on in Division II. And probably the favorite in Division II is Portsmouth.
Yeah,
is Portsmouth is a very strong team. But you have some. There's more depth. Like the girls' top D2 teams can compete with at the Division I level. I think we'll see a competitive game versus Sohegan.
All right, now we will bring in Ken Blaska. I promise. Timberlane head coach coming up next. Short break right here. It's the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. All right, we've got Ken Blaska of Timberlane on the phone right now, joining us from the Seacoast. Coach, good afternoon, or excuse me, good morning. And
Happy Mother's Day.
Happy
guys.
Mother's Day. That's right. I was going to save that for the end of the show, but either way, we appreciate you coming on. And how are you this morning?
I'm phenomenal. I'm actually doing fantastic. Having a great morning already.
Good. And you got a big U12 game coming up, Coach. Is that for your son?
Yes. My oldest son Brady plays. We live in Hampstead, so the Hampstead Lightning got a 10:30 tilt this morning. So excited,
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
The life of a coach and a parent at that age, right? Is this the chaotic time of year, Coach? Is it 7 days a week, 24/7, or what?
All the time. I have a younger son too, who's 8, and he's on a U10 team. So.
Oh, wow.
I go to practice, and then I leave practice to do more practice.
Right. Practicing. Your team, they look good when we saw them, Coach, out on Thursday. The defense seemed cohesive. The goaltender at times really flashed. What do you make of this group, and what have you seen improvement-wise since the opening game back in mid-April?
Well,
Coach,
defense on out is pretty has been pretty consistent, been pretty good, and we've been concentrating on it a lot. So, Brady Marston, Billy Savage, Joey Shiv, Jaden Lee, those guys and the rest of the crew, really good, solid anchor for us down there. I think the biggest thing for us has just been attention to detail and everybody just kind of working to get on the same page. That's what happens when you lose an entire year and, it's a program like ours where, we've got guys that play club, but not like some other top programs where there's just, there's a bit more. So you kind of see, we had to make up for a lot of lost time. So just, that game wisdom that comes from just constantly playing, for us has just been something that we've been working on.
Yeah. All right, let's focus in a little bit on Brady Marston. You mentioned his name. He's your sophomore goaltender and really came up with some flashy stops, some good-looking saves on Thursday. Sky's the limit, only a sophomore. I mean, what do you make of Brady Marston?
Really solid for us. I think, just as I said it to the crew, I think 2 weeks ago, I was like, guys, he's solid in there. He's got a short memory, which is huge in the net. Being able to just take something and forget about it, flush it, and move on to the next play. I think it helps him too that he's got a really good crew in front of him, and everyone trusts everybody. We're all trusting each other to do not just their job but to make a play. And I've been impressed with him greatly. It's kind of weird because he was going to be my starter last year in my final year of Division I. We were only going to be in Division I for 2 years. So it's kind of interesting that, we didn't have, we lost the season, but he steps in this year. Now we're back in 2 and, he's bigger. He's been working out. You can see it on him from the fall to now. And I think that work that he's put in is noticeable.
How about Eric George, your junior attackman? He had a hat trick on Thursday in the win over Oyster River. Seemed like a skilled guy who, again, has a little bit of room to improve, given that he's only a junior. Break down Eric George for us.
Yeah, he works hard. I ride him a lot, and it's great. He works hard at his craft. He's just a great kid. I have him in class, so I get to talk lax with him a lot. And, I think his game, you're right, he is one of our skilled guys, and you can see it on the field there in terms of his ability to be righty-lefty and just moving to the ball. And, it's funny, he's just having fun, and you could see that out there with him, like just competing and getting after it, And he's drawing usually some of the top, your top defender and stuff like that at this point, so that's a good thing for him.
Yeah, go ahead,
Coach. So, Coach, the last time I saw you guys play, actually, no, it was, because I was scouting the game, was 2019. It was an epic win over South. That was one of the best, lacrosse games I've been to. I'm sure you remember that one.
That was an unbelievable season because we lost to them in overtime at our place. Then we beat them by a goal. We only win one face-off out of 30. And then this year we play them and we lose to them in OT, 7-6. So, we've had some really good battles.
Yeah, you guys are very similar. I mean, that just makes sense. And then, so then you were sitting on a team for the 20 season when you were loaded. Would you have Ncaa, who's down in Villanova, and then you had a good group. So, how would your season like you said, you don't have a lot of guys that play on the club circuit. Was there just a little bit of a drop-off this year, and how does it look going forward?
Yeah, but I think a lot of it just comes from, where we draw from. And, I concentrate quite a bit on making sure that they play indoor. It's like, hey, if you can't do this, that's fine. I get it. Let's be honest, guys. To play the club, that costs some ducats. It's not just the team; it's the trips and it's all those things. So it's a massive investment. We've got a few, and you could see it out there on them. Georgie plays. Billy Savage, obviously. One of our, top defender plays a lot. It's just you could see that 1 year off kind of like was a little wackier for us, but
yeah, no, you've had some.
I felt we were ready last year.
Yeah,
so
you would have been ready. You guys were certainly a top team in that top six mix.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you and South seem to find each other. Ncaa, you guys got beat up a little bit the first game, and you come back and take them to overtime the second game. So you're right there.
Triple overtime.
Sorry, triple overtime. Those things don't go away easy, I know. Sorry. But I just think I'm more talking about it as a compliment to be able to bounce back 2 years later and to make those adjustments and get the mindset right for those kids.
We were off sides like 8 times. You know what I mean? Well,
that's coaching. That's coaching.
You know what I mean? It's like we gotta get it. We gotta straighten this thing out. Straighten it out. I mean, and the JV clear versus the varsity clear gets drastically different over those years.
Yeah, no, but you're right in that mix for a very deep D2 division this year. So you guys are going to make some noise.
Yeah,
there's
Coach.
A lot of parity right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was about to say, is it wide open in your mind?
Well, we've played Ncaa. We played Portsmouth. I got to see, Derryfield, Oyster River. I got Wyndham coming up. It's I think there's a lot more parity this year than I've seen in the past in the D2 landscape. There's a lot of teams.
Yeah, it's deeper than ever. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. The pod situation's kind of weird, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, is that official? We were talking a little bit about that last segment.
Oh, it's official. They just haven't announced who's in the pod. And Timberlane could be in that Seacoast pod, but I don't know.
It's funny. I'm not being one way or the other. It doesn't matter who we play. It's great. It's just funny, right? The pods are made, but everyone's playing across pods. So the purpose of the pods is kind of defeated. We got people in my pod that are not even in our division, or you see people in a separate pod and they're in different divisions, or I'm playing other teams. So it's like, all right, I know in the fall the pod had a purpose, and
it did. It did. It was effective, but same thing with basketball. You played outside. You played everywhere, and then they go to a pod for the playoffs. So it kind of. I don't know how much. I don't know how much.
So that's all that matters. And
exactly.
Cool for us.
Exactly.
Right. Well, Coach, you touched on it. You got Wyndham twice coming up this week. Jaguars probably better than their record, I would assume.
Oh yeah.
How do you handle Wyndham here coming up this week?
Well, I think Coach Ruppy hit it right on the head. We just got to worry about us, and it really comes down to. Just execution on our end, trying to clean up some of the sloppy play, get our play a little bit more under control offensively, keep communicating defensively. I think there's no secrets out there. Everybody kind of knows what everybody else is doing. So it's just a matter of hey guys, let's just put it together. And guess what? Whatever we do on Tuesday, it's an 8-quarter game. It isn't 4 quarters. There's 8 quarters. We play them again Thursday.
Right.
I'm fired up to play them. I haven't gone against them in over 2 years. So that's going to be fun. I know they always have a good solid program, good solid team. So that's what we want. We want to play tough competition because that's what that gets us better.
Right.
So hopefully we put it together. We have a great time, and we have fun, and we come out with some intensity, and we get a dub. That's what we're playing. That's what our plan is.
That's as good as any, Coach. We appreciate your time. Good luck to your son's team this morning, and we'll talk again down the road. Thank you.
No worries, guys. Hey, have a great day. All right.
Thanks, you. Coach. You too. That again is Ken Blaska, the head coach of the Timberlane Owls, squeezing us into his busy Sunday schedule. What'd you think there, Coach?
Interesting. He talks about it as playing 8 quarters.
Is that an approach you've heard before? Or?
No, it's the first I've heard. I'm trying to process it to see if it's something I could use going forward. I like to take it as one game, and then just let's play one game, and then
Right.
get better for the next game. But he certainly, he doesn't have. He said, he doesn't have the numbers that some of these other programs might have. But he's, it's unbelievable the amount of overtimes he's had. And South, the last 3 times he's played him, he's gone to overtime.
Does that get your team better? Win or lose, getting involved in those
tight, absolutely.
Those tight games, those one-goal games in the regular season?
I miss those so much this year, not being able to play Lincoln, Sudbury, Needham, BC High. It's definitely going to hurt us, but, you have to.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
Could that come back to haunt you in the playoffs if your team's not used to being in those tight fourth-quarter situations?
Absolutely. Those games are just fun to be part of, as Ben behind could attest to being part of those games. They make you better. They certainly battle test you and make you better. And then when you're on the kids, when you're up by a score of 12-6 or whatever it is, or 15-5, and you're like you can't jam, whatever that might be. You can't, you got to possess the ball. We're winning right now. Let's work the clock, and it doesn't really resonate with them because, like, coach, we're up by 10 goals. What does it mean? But when you're up by 2 goals,
right.
and if you don't have those tests. It could come back to hurt you.
Right, because it becomes kind of uncharted territory.
That's what's good about Division II for all these guys. A lot of tight games in there.
Right. As tight as I can remember it, and I've been
it's going to make them better.
Around this, I don't know, for 7 years or so now. So D2 wide open. We wish Coach Blaska, Coach Haley the best for sure moving forward through that landscape. Coming up, hour number 2, Ben Abladian of Bryant. He's the NEC Freshman of the Year, and he's rolling with us. Next, you are watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. It's presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Hour number 2 here from the Beals Insurance Studios. It's the FNLNH Lacrosse Show. We are live every Sunday morning during lacrosse season, 9 a.m. Reminder, we will be in the Gate City, Stello Stadium, for a girls-boys doubleheader on Tuesday. Bedford and BG, Coach, we'll touch on that in just a moment. On the girls' side, 2 unbeaten, 2 D1 contenders. And we'll have that for you live in HD, as we always do, on FNLNH Media. And then, of course, the boys will take on BG, Bedford BG again, comes your way 7 o'clock. So a Tuesday doubleheader. Bedford at Bishop Girton, presented by Beals Insurance. Coming up, Casey Broderson of Bryant, Pinkerton grad. He's an assistant coach on that staff with the Bulldogs. And Eric Coburn, towards the bottom of the hour, will join us to talk about the NCAA tournament. Right now, however, Ben Abladian is on the line. He's our New Hampshire Tomahawks Player of the Week. He was the Freshman of the Year in the NEC Conference. Ben, good morning. Welcome inside the show, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
What's been the biggest challenge transferring or transitioning from the high school game to lacrosse at the NCAA level. You throw in the fact that nobody played at all last year in 2020. What has the last 18 or so months been like for you as both a player and a student athlete now at Bryant?
It's been crazy. It's been crazy here, especially now with finals starting up. It's a whole new game. It's a whole different speed, intensity, physicality. It's just a whole new game. Like it's wonderful having just all the guys here too. It's like a team, just like at BG, turned into a family. So it's awesome having all the guys with you.
You mentioned that BG family type atmosphere. You were a member of the Cardinals, obviously. You graduated in 2020. You did not get to play your senior season. I believe you're the first guest that we've had that's now a freshman at the NCAA level that didn't play their senior year in high school. Tell me a little bit about how disappointing that was for you and your classmates.
No, it was heartbreaking. I think we had like an amazing team that we could have ran the thing. I mean, BG right now is doing incredible. Like they are absolutely lights out. And I think we could have been a similar team just like that, just run the show. And it really sucks I couldn't get to play with a lot of those younger kids one more time, like Aiden Hearn, Dawson, John Sullivan, like all those guys that I'm really close with. But
what did you do to get yourself ready for Bryant in the absence of actual game action last spring?
A lot of time in the indoor complexes, just getting all the guys I can to just run 1v1, stuff like that. Guys over from Tomahawks, Wicked Lacrosse, Sean Riley, Todd Cost, a lot of those guys, getting in touch with some other programs like First Class Lacrosse, and just pretty much branching out as much as I can and getting as much information as possible.
And then, of course, you step on the field this spring as a freshman at the NCAA level. Your team ultimately goes on to win the conference and will play in the upcoming NCAA tournament. But in the process, you were named Conference Rookie of the Year. Was that something you had as a goal penciled in going into the season, or were you surprised yourself on how well you played and that you ended up being the best freshman in the conference?
I think, first of all, I was fortunate enough to get that spot. Like, we had a guy coming in from Duke, CJ Carpenter, who unfortunately went down in an Army scrimmage, and Mark O'Rourke, obviously, he had some he had COVID and then had some issues with his heart, so he didn't come back until later in the season. But so I was fortunate enough to get that spot and kind of solidify my spot while I had the chance. And it was surreal. I certainly wasn't expecting it coming in, but obviously a great payoff, and love to see it.
Yeah, so you were penciled in probably as number 5, and you worked your way in there, not just to number 3, and you, as you said, solidified it. So it was fun to watch you, Ben. So take us through I mean, I know it was a difficult season on so many levels, but you were getting to play lacrosse. But you lose to Hobart, you lose to St. Joe's in the regular season, and then the way the bracket comes out, you're the 3 seed. You have to travel to Hobart. Tell us a little bit. How long is that bus ride? Are you doing an overnight? And then you come back and then go to St. Joe's? So just take us through this wild week for you.
Yeah, it was an early wake up and about a 6-hour drive. 6-hour drive wasn't too pleasant, but we made the most of it. We took like 3 different buses too. We were all spaced out for COVID reasons, and all that. Got to the hotel, had dinner, straight to bed, woke up, breakfast. Then there was a lot of traffic there too. Then about another 45-minute drive to the field, stretch out. Then we were good to go.
So then you beat Hobart, and then you head back to Smithfield.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you had practices, and then you go to St. Joe's. Now St. Joe's was. Now I'm just gonna a little bit about your teammates. You have Ryan Oger from Pinkerton, Mason Druin from Pinkerton. And then you have Nathan Liberty, and Nathan Liberty was having Mason Druin was also on the NEC. He wasn't a player of the year, but he made the NEC rookie team. And Nathan Liberty, who was facing off at a 70% clip, and you played with Nate for years, and I've coached him for years and years. I've never seen Nate, never mind go on, south of the 50-50, but the kid from St. Joe's beat him I think he beat him 12 out of 13, 12 out of 14. So how did you guys adjust? How did you get – and how was the possession battle versus St. Joe's yesterday?
Yeah, so I think the problem was we were kind of switching off with who we were taking that face off, so both guys kind of got cold. Like Nate would take a few, and then our other guy, Jacob Alexander, would go. And, I mean, this time just Jacob stepped up. He went positive. He absolutely dominated that face-off battle, and I think that's what we needed. We needed those possessions because when we had the ball, we were scoring.
I'm sorry, Ben.
That's just – oh, no worries. We just didn't have the ball the first time. It was crazy, the time differences of possession. Possession
is so key. So you guys, so you had 5 against Hobart in the semis. Mm-hmm. Did you notice any kind of different defense? Not necessarily a different defense, but was there more attention paid to you against St. Joe's in this championship game? Yeah, I definitely believe they were sliding real quick to like me and Mark, so I think that's why we went to a lot of midi pairs behind. Like most of the game, if you watch back, it's more the middies going behind to set up inverts because they were like ready for guys like me, Mark, and Logan. They were trying to shut that off, so we kind of had to look at it from a new perspective and go for something different, and then it paid off. Yeah, that's great. Now we're going to have at the bottom of this hour, we're going to talk about our selection show down here, but I mean, a lot of people had the winner of the NEC being like the 15th seed against a Duke or a Maryland. Yep. I have you guys as like the 13 because you beat UVM, right? You beat UVM. Yep. Was that game at UVM too? Yeah. Yeah, you win at UVM. You beat High Point. So you guys I'm sorry, you didn't beat High Point, but I think High Point, I think you have a better profile than them. Are you getting together as a team for selection show tonight? Yeah, we are. I think we're going out to the field, and it's going to be on the big scoreboard that we just nice. Brought in. So it's going to be pretty cool. Nice. That's pretty cool. Was this a goal that you guys set? To like what kind of goals does Bryant set? Is it winning the NCAA tournament, winning the NEC? What do you guys set early on in the year? I think that's it. We definitely go step by step. Like get one goal and then let's reach the next. But coach has always had that winning mentality and always saw and wanted us to win as much as we could. So win NEC and then obviously go on to try to win NCAA. So my hope is that you guys are playing at the same site. I don't know if I don't want you guys playing UNC, but I'm hearing that there's going to be 4 sites. So there's going to be 2 games per site. So it'll be great to see Bryant upset Duke at UNC, and then we have UNC possibly playing Monmouth, who Johnny McLean is another Derryfield grad Tomahawk player who made it to the NCAA tournament. So we have a lot of guys in the mix. But thanks, Ben. Appreciate you coming on, and good luck. Yeah, I'm sure tonight's going to be special in a lot of ways. This season has been already for you guys. Thanks again, Ben, for coming on, and again, best of luck. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for having me. Thank you. That's Ben Abladian, former BG standout, and now NEC Rookie of the Year with Bryant University. Very well spoken, as are all the guests you hook up, Coach. He seems like he's obviously not only is the NCAA stage not too big for him, it may be too small the way he's been playing, right? Yeah. So as he said, he came in. There were guys in front of him. I mean, so this was kind of, you look at it like, oh, I'm going to be the 5th. Maybe he had a battle to be the 5th guy. And, the way things fell, one, an unfortunate injury, another guy has a COVID illness. So he gets put in that 3rd spot. And he was ready. And he was ready. He was an All-American as a junior at BG. And there was like my senior year, I'm tough on guys in their senior year, just to get them really ready to develop. And he, plus, you think they can handle it at that point? They can handle. Right? Oh yeah, they're handling it. Because I used to be soft on players, but then they weren't ready for college. And he's a kid that I had for 3 years, which was good. And as he said, it would have been a special team his senior year, and a lot of everybody throughout the country had to deal with that. But it would have definitely been. And how did you deal with that, Coach? I mean, what do you say to that group of seniors? Obviously, it's devastating, as we just heard from Ben. But as a coach,
What do you say to those guys, or what did you say when the news came down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm the eternal optimist. I thought, all right, 2 weeks, maybe the season's delayed a month. You know, the NHIA was saying, oh, we're going to do something. You know, so I believed in all that. So I always thought that there was going to be a season. But then there became a point in time when the final announcement came that I just knew that they didn't want. You know, the season wasn't going to happen. So I mean, fortunately for a lot of those kids, and Sean being one of them, I mean, they're going on to play in college, which is good. We were able to get one game in. We played an ISL team. We played Nobles, which was basically the season, which was great.
Right, but that's no comparison to.
No, it's not. But just to be able to put the uniform on, get together,
sure.
And it was a way to have some
closure, I guess.
Closure
yep.
to the season. And then watching these kids go on to college is awesome. And all those guys, Nate Liberty, Mason Drew, and they're having great years down there. And I see Spencer Clark fitting right into the type player, the type midi that they like. You know, those are the type.
Seems like an up and coming program.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean they have. We'll have Casey on next, but they have a style, and they have a style that they like to play. They like to get up and down and run a gun.
We'll ask about that with Casey Broderson, assistant coach at Bryant, next as our NCAA talk continues. You're watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school, varsity, and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. NCAA talk continues here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Ncaa, Tomahawk founder / BG Boys head coach Chris Cameron, to my right. And we're live here from the Beals Insurance Studios in Bedford. We thank Ben Abladian, freshman at Bryant, for joining us. The Bulldogs will be in the NCAA tournament. We'll find out who they're playing tonight as part of the NCAA selection show. Eric Coburn, former national champion at Merrimack, is going to jump on with us in a few minutes to try to make sense of the upcoming selection show. But right now, on the phone is Bryant assistant coach / Pinkerton alum, Casey Broderson. Coach, good morning. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Nick and Chris. Appreciate it. Doing well. Excited for tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, let's start there. We heard from Ben Abladian. You guys are going to get together on the field to watch the selection show. What will that moment mean to you and your staff, Coach, tonight as you find out where things lie moving forward with the upcoming NCAA tournament? What's that moment going to mean for you?
I think it's a great reflection for the guys, and I don't know how much Ben told you about all the COVID stuff that every program's gone through this year. So I'm not going to highlight us as being unique in that way. I'm sure every program has had their ups and downs and trials and tribulations with it. But I think for our guys to be resilient and go through, not only that, but then probably our hardest road to the tournament at this point. We had to go up to Geneva, 5.5, 6 hour drive on Wednesday, play a tough Hobart team up there. Turn around, you get 1 day back in Rhode Island, and then you're driving down to Philly on Friday, another 5.5, 6 hours down there, having to play on the road twice against the top 2 seeds that you had lost to in the regular season. So I credit our guys for their grit, their resilience, and the opportunity to play next weekend in the NCAA tournament. It never gets old, and I'm happy for not only the young guys like Ben, who have been great contributors for us, and then the 5th and 6th year guys who have come back and kind of made this full circle. And hopefully we can go out there next weekend and do our thing and keep this rolling. Our expectation is to go out and compete and not just be satisfied that we're in the tournament, regardless of who we're playing.
Right. That was actually my next question. It obviously is a victory and accomplishment just to make the tournament, of course. But it seems like I'm getting the sense that maybe that's not quite satisfying enough. Is the goal at this point now to obviously to get a win? But I mean, what would any victory in the NCAA tournament mean to the program?
That would be great. I think it would be great, obviously, for us individually. Our conference, I think our conference is very competitive, very tough, and I think it gives you a great opportunity to go out there and compete. And for our program specifically, we get a few chances to play, the quote-unquote Power 5 guys in the ACC, Big Ten, and we're competitive in those situations. I mean, played a really tight game with Carolina right before the COVID shutdown in 20. We played Maryland in the tournament a few times. We played Cuse in the tournament a few times. So, any opportunity to get out and play those guys and be competitive, I think it's great. But, our expectation isn't just to go out there and be satisfied with being in the tournament. I think what's unique this year is in 3 of our last 4 tournament appearances, there's been the play-in game. So in 13, there wasn't the play-in game the first time we made it and played Cuse. But then in 14, 15, and 17, you had to play that midweek Wednesday game due to the automatic qualifier rules and regulations and kind of how they structure the tournament. And that was all RPI based. So we would play the MAC winner traditionally in the playing game. We played Siena 1 year, we played Marist 1 year, and then we played Monmouth 1 year. And then the winner of the playing game typically plays a top 2 seed in the tournament. So a little different this year where you don't have that playing game and you get a full week of prep, rest, recovery. Because you think about it, in the past, it's been Thursday, Saturday, conference tournament, traditionally for us on the road. Then you play Wednesday, then you play Saturday, Sunday the next. So I think having a full week will be good, not obviously for our guys to recover, but from a prep standpoint as well.
Right.
So, Coach, when I spoke to you last week, I just sensed confidence in your voice, like coming off of those losses, knowing you just felt like, what did you know? Was your team playing well heading into this?
Yeah, they were, and I think we had kind of found our stride a little bit. We had played Sacred Heart. We had played a pretty complete complimentary game, and speaking of New Hampshire, obviously Nate Liberty goes down in that game and suffers the injury, which was tough for him, obviously, especially how he's come back through. But then to play well at Sacred Heart, then to play on a short turnaround against a dangerous LIU team. I mean, those guys offensively are as dangerous as it gets. And, the stat lines in that game were, I had never personally been a part of anything like that. We had 78 shots. Their goalie has 30 saves. We scored 20 goals. Our face-off guy goes 30 of 40. We have one player for us take 24 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, just crazy stat lines. It was a 3-goal game at the end of the day. And I think, not only that, but getting Mark O'Rourke back, our senior from Hingham, Massachusetts, who had gone through a lot of COVID protocols, and he's just been on the shelf trying to get this thing figured out. And, he came back for the last 2 games of the regular season, and then the 2 conference playoff games. I think that gave us great momentum because he takes a lot of attention, which frees up not only Ben and Logan, our other attackmen, and he's got 20 goals in 4 games. So I think having those guys back, knowing that Jacob Alexander at the faceoff X as well, because him and Nate had been 1 and 1A pretty much all year, and we felt our goalie could get the job done. He was great in the tournament, 35 saves. We just felt we had the pieces to make it happen. We just had to go out and execute.
Yeah, so are you pulling film now on any teams, or are you just going to wait and watch and then get after it tonight?
Yeah, I think wait and watch. Candidly, got to catch our breath here. It's been go last week. I got to get caught up on a lot of just the putting the conference tournament to bed, kind of the review notes on that, the film stuff on that. And then typically in this time, we know kind of where we were playing in the playing game, and we can get started today. But at least for me, I can't speak for anyone else. As up in the air about it as anyone else is. So who knows what to expect and where we're going to be. So it's kind of wait and see at this point.
Yeah, like everyone, all the bracketology had the NEC being the 15 seed, which could have been a matchup with Duke. But when I look at it, you beat UVM, who everyone seems to be, they were, being like a 13 seed. So you beat them at their place. So, I mean, I could see you guys being as, anywhere from 12 to 15, but I think closer to the 12 spot. So it'd certainly be exciting. When you mentioned the Duke, the UNC game you had with them 2 years ago, was Jacob Alexander facing off in that game, or was he injured?
No, so Jacob was a freshman. So Jacob is, I think, a lot of people talk about the new rules and everything like that. A lot of times the freshmen need to get a year to adjust, but I think, kind of the rule change has been to Jacob's credit. But he didn't face off in that game. So you had two older guys. One of them went down with a rolled ankle. Obviously, Tucci had a great day. I think, I've heard enough times to set the NCAA,
that was
UNC
the
record
difference in the game. Yeah.
He set the UNC record. So
you went toe for toe with them. So yeah, so we're certainly big Bulldog fans here with Ryan. If I'm missing, we got Ryan, Mason, Ben, and Nate, and then we got Spencer coming and. Yeah, we're gonna be pulling for you tonight with a good draw, and then certainly looking forward to next week watching you guys in action.
Yeah, it's been. The New Hampshire kids have been great, and obviously you go back to the Bayless boys, and Mikey Witt eventually played football at UNH and Fall, kind of his brothers there. But we love them. They're coming down, and not only coming down and contributing. You look at this year. From those three freshmen, Nate, we talked about, he was 60% on the year before everything happened. Mason, he's our leader in EMO goals. He's got 11. He's been running the top two midfields all year. And then obviously Ben, who's the NEC Rookie of the Year. He leads our team in goals at this point. He had 5 against Hobart, including 3 straight in the fourth quarter. That fourth quarter of the Hobart game, he gets 3 straight. Him and Hobart's a very good player, number 8, their attackman. Madonna, they were just back and forth. And then we had another true freshman score the last 2 in the Hobart game. So the fourth quarter, where it's, we go up by 2, they cut it to 1, we go up by 2. We had 5 goals by true freshmen in there with Ben, just thriving. And like I said, Mark coming back draws a lot of attention, which allows Ben to kind of do his thing. And it's funny, I'll go back to the seeding piece, like technically by the NCAA or how they state it, it's seeded 1 through 8. And it's regional, quote unquote, based off of that. So, technically, they don't really seed 9 through 16, but they kind of sort it out there. But that's why traditionally you get, the Southern teams play the Southern teams, like Richmond has traditionally played like a Duke, Virginia, Carolina, and why we have traditionally played more of the Northern team, like Syracuse a few times, and Maryland. Yeah. So it'll depend how they seed 1 through 8.
Now, is my understanding correctly that the games are going to be at 4 different sites?
Yeah, that's my understanding as well. Honestly, I haven't gotten that far to look at it. I've been told a few times. I think there's some COVID regulations, and like that's the reason for it. But I mean, there's a lot that has gone into it in the past. Like technically, I don't know what the number is, but there's a quote unquote limit on flight games because the NCAA pays the travel and everything like that. So they want to limit flight games in the first round and want to make it drive. And I don't know if the radius is 400 miles or something like that, but there's some like cap that if it's anything under, you got to drive. It's anything over, the NCAA will pay for the flights and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. And I don't know this year with all the COVID how that's gonna change. Change, shake out, and everything like that. So we're just excited to see who we got at 9 o'clock and how that'll play out and get ready for whoever it is.
Yeah, Coach, good luck. For sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, and again, enjoy yourself tonight as well. I know it's a big moment for you and your team. Thanks again.
Will do. Look forward to getting up there for some high school games in June when
June
that
1st.
period's over.
June
That's
1st.
Right.
Let's go.
That's right. We'll be out there.
All right.
Thanks,
see you,
guys.
Coach.
Thank you, Coach. That's, again, Casey Broderson of Bryant.
Yeah, so June 1st, because they've been on a dead period where coaches are not able to go see players live.
Is that an NCAA?
NCAA rule. So June 1st, it's off where they can start seeing games. He's the hardest working coach out there. You would see him at the first game at 8 a.m. and then you'd see him at 8 at night, where he just out there grinding, protecting his committed players and then trying to find new ones. And that's why he's having, he's going to be.
Is he really kind of the big link in terms of getting all these New Hampshire players down to Bryant? Is he kind of the driving force there?
Yeah, he handles their recruit. He's their defensive coach. He was a face-off guy at Pinkerton, and then he handles he's a defensive coach, and then he's the recruiting coordinator.
So he's doing a good job.
Yep,
that's for sure.
He's getting some guys because those guys that they get are getting recruited at multiple other schools.
And the guys, for the most part, that he has gotten are, from what I understand, happy. Right?
They're happy.
They're not just happy, but actively trying to recruit others.
Yeah.
Right? From what I understand. So they've got something special, I think, going down there in Bryant. We'll find out tonight on the selection show exactly who they will be playing and when. And in a moment, we'll close out the show with Eric Coburn, former Merrimack national champion. He has as good of an idea of what to expect tonight in the selection show as anybody. And he joins us next. You're watching the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Our broadcast today, as it always is brought to you by Beals Insurance Agency, with locations now in both Bedford and Londonderry. Whether you need home, auto, or business insurance, Beals Insurance will get you both the price and quality coverage that's right for you. Just call 603-471-9999 or visit BealsInsurance.com to request a free quote and start saving money today. Again, that's BealsInsurance.com. The New Hampshire Tomahawks promote the highest level of club lacrosse competition, not just in the state, but in the country. Looking to get recruited? Director Chris Cameron keeps an open dialogue with the nation's top college lacrosse coaches. Over 400 New Hampshire Tomahawks alumni have played at the college level, including the ACC, Big East, Big Ten, Ivy, NESCAC, NE10, and more. The New Hampshire Tomahawks coaching staff has over 100 coaches, including current high school varsity and college coaches. The Tomahawks offer training for players of all ages, clinics, camps, and leagues, along with spring, summer, and fall elite teams. So play with the best. The New Hampshire Tomahawks, showcase and development for college lacrosse. Visit NewHampshireTomahawks.com and girls.nhtomahawks.com. Is your company interested in showcasing your brand to thousands of high school sports fans across New Hampshire? If not, why not? And if so, let's go. Friday Night Lights New Hampshire is seeking sponsorship partners. It's the perfect way for your company to get out in front of the moms and dads who make up our community. Help us help you, and we can grow together. If you're interested in partnering with Friday Night Lights New Hampshire, then email us at fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. That's fnlnhmedia@gmail.com. Join our team today. Back here on the FNLNH Lacrosse Show, Ncaa, Chris Cameron with you. We're live every Sunday from the Beals Insurance Studios, and we're presented, of course, by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. I want to thank our guests, Ruppy Haley, Oyster River, Ken Blaska of Timberlane, Jim Maxwell of Hollis Brookline, Tomahawk Player of the Week, Ben Abladian of Bryant, Casey Broderson, Bryant head coach, assistant coach / Pinkerton alum, and Eric Coburn, who was in your chair last week, Coach, filling in for you.
He did quite the job.
He did a very good
glad
job.
I got my seat back, though.
That's right. He's back. He's back in the fold with us via the telephone or the computer or the video or however you want to call it. We're going to bring his lovely face to you. There he is, holding it down in Londonderry, representing the Tomahawks. Eric, welcome back. Thanks for getting up with us, and welcome aboard.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. This is the best time of year, so happy to be able to talk about it.
All right, tonight, 9 o'clock is the NCAA selection show. We talked extensively about Bryant the last half hour or so, but I guess what's the headline with you? What are you looking for first and foremost tonight when the decision is announced and the tournament field is unveiled?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's now more than ever, there's a ton of talk with what's going on with the bubble teams, in particular what's going to happen with Rutgers in the Big Ten, because Rutgers, the Big Ten played conference-only schedule, so they're at a bit of a disadvantage because there's not really comparison where some of these other conferences have played out of schedule, and the Big Ten has kind of been beating up on each other this whole year. So a lot of them have records either at 500 or below 500, so it's easy to kind of look at them and say they're down, but it's hard to compare. We don't have that one-to-one comparison. But the Big Ten has been, since it was founded in 2015, it's been a 2-bid league at least every year. It's been a 3-bid league 3 times and a 4-bid league 1 time. So I'm not sure how they could only be a 1-bid league this year. So like I said, with the out of conference, it's tough, and they might have to rely on the eye test, which normally they don't do from year to year. Loyola's kind of on the bubble. Nova's a little on the bubble. So it's going to be interesting to see which team gets that kind of last spot or two.
Yeah.
What about the top seed overall? Is that Carolina? Is that even up for debate at this point, or what do you see there as the top overall seed?
Yeah, I think Carolina has to be the top overall seed. Just their kind of body of work, the teams they've beat, that out of conference schedule. Maryland and Duke are those other two teams in the mix. But I think Carolina has better wins and has more decisive wins when they have won, and they beat Duke more recently head to head by a couple. So I get Carolina as the one. As far as who's the 2 and the 3 for Duke and Maryland, I'm not too sure. It depends. It all goes back to how the committee kind of views the Big Ten and thinks if Maryland, they're undefeated, but if they don't think the Big Ten's a quality conference this year, then they might give them that 3 and Duke that 2. But the 1 seed I think this year is really important because I think North Carolina, Duke, and Maryland are all kind of that same kind of level. So if Carolina gets that 1 seed, they get the advantage of playing not Duke or Maryland ideal in that Final Four, and they'll beat up on each other. So that would be a huge advantage to get that 1 seed. I think this year now more than most years.
Yeah. Eric, I agree with you on all issues here. The only thing I see is UNC's the 1, and if they consider UNC to be the 1 based on quality of top 5 wins and top 10 wins, Duke meets that same criteria. So Duke would be the 2, Maryland would be the 3. I have Virginia as the 4 because they beat Notre Dame. I got Notre Dame as the 5, Georgetown as the 6, and then 7 through 11 could be in any order. Rutgers, Syracuse, Army, Lehigh, and Denver. I think by the eye test, Rutgers is clearly like a top 8 team. When the Big Ten only plays each other, they don't have those Southern Conference, opportunities to play or Patriot or to play a Monmouth or to play a MAC or to play other teams where they could, I don't want to say fluff their wins, but their win total would go up.
Right.
And you're not playing each other twice. So that is really skewing that the Big Ten's not as bad as what people are making it out to do. They're just beating each other up. And if you look at the inside the ACC, Virginia's 2 and 4. Notre Dame's 3 and 3. Syracuse is 2 and 4. So I think you're seeing the same thing at the ACC level that at the Big Ten level, but the Big Ten played everybody twice. Now, Eric, to switch gears, Lynn, Cam Holt and Colin Casey's Lynn losing at Tampa last night. I don't think they're going to get in, right? So they're out. St. Anselm, are they safely in? Even though is St. Anselm going to be?
I think they're safely in. Yeah, I think if they had lost the pace in the semis, they ended up coming back and winning that. But I think they lost the pace. It would have been a little tougher. But Adelphi, who's kind of lurking in that mix, has that kind of had their best wins against pace as well, and they lost to Lemoyne every time they played him as well. So I think right now it would be probably Lemoyne would probably get the 1, Mercyhurst maybe the 2, and then Mercy and Seton Hill and St. A's are kind of all in that 3 through 5 mix. I think is kind of what I have for the North. And I think Adelphi will be that team kind of on the outside. But it's tough. Any 10 only got to play in conference, so same kind of thing with the Big Ten, where it's hard to compare. Whereas the Seton Hill and Mercyhurst, their conference got to play out of conference, so they can kind of compare a little bit more. Even though I think the NE10's a deeper conference than Mercyhurst and Seton Hills.
Yeah, it's different amount of teams, right, that get in when you're talking D1 versus D2.
D3 is we're not even going to touch on that because they take like 32 teams. There's so many conference tournaments. We had a lot of players, New Hampshire players, advance. But I think the Division II gets 10 teams. I think the top 6 get buys, and I think 7 plays 10, 8 plays 9, and then you go to the quarterfinals.
Okay.
And then
again, St. A's, just to touch, Division II, NE10, undefeated, limited out of conference schedule, COVID-19, whatever. Yeah. They didn't suffer their first loss until the conference championship game. Eric, your point was, had they lost in the semis to Pace, things would be a little more difficult to get in. But Eric, you think St. A's has that resume with just the 1 loss to get into that 10-team field in the Division II national tournament, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can only play who's on your schedule, and every team they play in the regular season they beat. I think their smallest margin of victory was by five goals. So it's not like they're playing a team that their schedules that look as weaker, and they're barely beating teams. Like they're blowing teams out that they played in that regular season. Like I said, they beat Pace, which is which is a quality win. And Adelphi, who's kind of that team, like I said, the 6th team, that's their best win. So they have that kind of as the head-to-head. And then obviously the win-loss as well. So I think St. Ace is safely in.
Okay. What else, as we take a look here at what to expect? Coach, you broke it down pretty well. Anything unforeseen that maybe you think may happen tonight, Eric? A team that nobody's talking about that may jump on the right side of the fence and get in? Or is there a team that perhaps you think the bubble might burst unexpectedly tonight? I mean, what about some of these at-large teams in Division I?
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be tough between Rutgers and Nova and some of these other teams and Loyola. Unfortunately, they found out they got a positive COVID test. They won't get to play in the Patriot League final, so Lehigh gets that automatic qualifier, which Loyola would have been seen, I think, as a quote-unquote bid stealer. I think they would have had to win to get in today, but Loyola is also kind of on the bubble too. So it's just going to be interesting to see how the guy for the selection committee said they're going to do things a little bit differently this year, maybe a little more eye test in there. So no one really knows what the criteria is going to be. So that's where it's kind of, there's a lot of question marks going on.
The eye test would hurt Syracuse in my mind because they have those 2 quality wins against Virginia, which is 2 top 5 wins, but then they've been blown out in a lot of games. You said, what,
2 and 4 in conference?
Those are the only 2 wins. They were 2 and 4 in conference, and they got blown out by UNC. They got blown out by Notre Dame twice. They were the only team in the ACC to have an out-of-conference loss. They lost. They got blown out by Army at home. They had some at-home losses. So that's the team that bubble could certainly burst.
Which would be unusual because Syracuse, pretty much you can pencil in year in and year out, but maybe not the case this year. Eric, enjoy yourself tonight. I'm sure you'll be watching in real time the selection show, and thanks for jumping in. By the way, you are the pioneer with our new video technology here, the Zoom, so to speak, working well, and you're it, my friend. You are number 1 in terms of being the guinea pig, I guess. So we appreciate that, and thanks again. Great job as always for joining us here today.
Awesome. Thank you for having me as always. I enjoyed this.
Thank you. That's Eric Coburn. He knows a little bit about the national tournament, Coach, seeing that Merrimack hoisted the trophy a few years back. He was a part of that.
Yeah, he's a big any 10 guy there, you could see.
Yeah, he knows his stuff for sure. We had him on the show last week. But you'll obviously be watching very closely. Your son, Brian, obviously a standout at North Carolina. What's the feeling like around that program right now? They have a potential to be the number 1 seed going in. They've played well. They took care of business in the conference tournament. What's the pulse like, you think, down there in
it was electric.
Chapel Hill?
It was electric down in Chapel Hill last week playing. And they had, on campus you had field hockey being a fall sport, but they're hosting the spring sports championships now. They were so field hockey.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Field hockey was playing. They're in the national championship tonight there. You had the girls' ACC championship game versus Syracuse, and then you had in the football stadium later that afternoon, you had Duke. And it was like COVID.
What a weekend.
COVID was gone. There were no masks on, people just enjoying themselves. It was like back to life, living, and it was there was like 7,000 people in the stands. And Carolina took care of Duke. I mean, Duke was coming into the season. Everyone's like, oh, it's a foregone conclusion. They're going to win the national championship. They picked up Michael Sowers. They picked up this goalie Adler.
Just loaded.
And they're loaded. But UNC was, they lost him in overtime earlier in the year, and they handled them 15-12. It was 15-10. So it was as much as a convincing 3-goal victory can be. It was. So they weren't just it wasn't just one of those games where they were hanging on. They were the better team that day. So I do think they're the number 1 seed. But I mean, any of these teams 1 through 11. When you look at these games, I mean, I think you have those. The ACC teams are really, really good, but you don't know how Maryland fits into that. And I think Maryland won the Big Ten championship last night, beating Hopkins. I think they would, if they were in the ACC, I think they would be a.
And what's up with Hopkins? Have they just fallen off, or
Hopkins?
Because they were the standard for a long time.
They were the standard. They went 2-8 in the Big Ten.
2-8.
2-8. And that was their record, 2-8 total. So they didn't have a chance to play any others. But they go ahead and they upset Penn State in the first round of the tournament. Then they upset Rutgers on
I did see
Thursday
that.
night.
I did see that. Yeah.
So they didn't quit. They easily could have just packed up and go. It was a new coaching staff, completely new staff. The staff that was there, Dave Petramala, moved out, and they brought a new staff in. So
kind of a rebuilding year in a way.
It's a rebuilding, but there's talent there. They certainly have talent.
Sure.
I think but I think the early recruiting hurt Hopkins. They were making decisions on kids in the 8th and 9th grade, the kids that didn't pan out. I think that
too risky there.
Yeah, that's what hurt them. But they'll be back because Coach Milliman, who came from Cornell, it will do a great job with that. They'll be back, but it's gonna. There's a lot more parity out there.
Right. I remember when I was at Hofstra, you even mentioned John Hopkins. It's like everybody just
it's like Syracuse
scared.
They'll be in the Final Four, right? But that's not there anymore. Same thing with Syracuse. Syracuse is a team that's hard bubble tonight.
Yeah. We'll be watching for sure. Again, that's 9 a.m. All right. I want to thank everybody, including my mother, here on Mother's Day, the original fan of Friday Night Lights, the most dedicated viewer and listener. I appreciate her for sure. Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and all the moms out there in the audience who have tuned in this morning, making time for us, right, Coach? All right, I want to thank Ruppy Haley of Oyster River. Bobcats playing well in D2. Ken Blaska's get Timberlane competitive there as well. We appreciate those two guys carving out time for us this morning. And Jim Maxwell of Hollis Brookline got his hands full there with those girls, but they're winning and playing well as well. Ben Abladian, our New Hampshire Tomahawks Player of the Week, the Bryant freshman. We wish him the best of luck coming up in the NCAA tournament. Same thing with his coach, Bryant assistant Casey Broderson. We thank him for coming on. And then good stuff there with Eric Coburn coming in via video chat and joining us for some NCAA tournament talk. Coach, your final thoughts here on an exciting, busy Sunday here in early May.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to the doubleheader on Tuesday.
We'll be there.
I'll be there as
and
well.
You'll be in the booth
I'll be in
with us.
studio with you, helping
right.
you call the girls' game. Bedford girls are a up-and-comer. I mean, everyone predicted BG just on their talent to be there. Bedford, they knew the talent was there. Christine's coached them up because they got some young players. That's going to be an exciting game.
When we had her on at the beginning of the season, she kind of played coy a little bit.
She's good at that. Yeah, she played. Yeah, she's good
but they're as good as anybody. We're going to find out.
That's going to be an exciting game.
Yep, that's 3 o'clock Tuesday, by the way. The Tuesday doubleheader, girls, boys. Coach and I will be on the call for that girls game at 3. Obviously, Coach will be down on the sideline at 7 for the boys square off. So, again, that's Tuesday, part of our Friday Night Lights New Hampshire Game of the Week doubleheader. All right. I want to thank everybody involved here. Our guests, I just ran them off. Our director, of course, is Ben Beals, the man behind the curtain. Steve Beals, executive producer, heading down to Florida later today. He's in the studio here, hiding behind the TV. My friend, Coach Cameron, we wish him luck this week coming up as well. My name is Nick Anastas. We're saying so long. This has been the FNLNH Lacrosse Show presented by the New Hampshire Tomahawks. Happy Mother's Day, everybody.